Hey, and welcome to 96Indie. So today we're here to talk about how to set up a Shure BLX wireless kit. So when it comes to setting up this kit, you're going to need a handful of things. So first and foremost, you're going to need the little receiver box, which you can see right here. Other than that, you're going to need the power supply for that very same receiver box. So here's that power supply. Here's what that looks like. You're going to need the pair of antennas that goes to your little receiver box. You will need a transmitter. In this case, I have a handheld SM58 transmitter. Last couple things worthy of noting, you're going to need an XLR cable, and you're going to need something to connect your mic kit to. So in this case, I'm using a little field recorder just to keep everything kind of like in the same area more so. But you can connect this wireless kit to a live sound console. You can connect it to an audio interface. You can connect it to a recorder like I'm doing in this case. It all depends on what you're trying to do, you know, whether it be like a podcast recording or a live show or something more studio based like a live performance recording or something like that. So it all really depends. But in any event, you definitely need something to connect the kit to record and or reinforce sound. Cool. So now that we have all the things in order, then it's really about actually getting the whole system up and running, having everything connected, set up, configured correctly, everything along those lines. Oh, and one last thing I forgot about that you will in fact need is a pair of batteries for your transmitter. So AA in this case for the Shure BLX kit. All right, so moving right along, let's get into setting this up. So first and foremost, we need to set up the antennas, I would say. It's the first thing that comes to mind for me. So as far as that goes, you can, if you flip the transmitter or the receiver to the back, you have little connectors here that you can connect your antenna to. So as far as that goes, there's a little, let's say, pathway that you're going to line up with the little notch that's on the connector for your antenna. So you line that up, you're going to push it in, and then once you're in, you can now twist the antenna. After that, give it a little lean, pretty much like you're trying to make a V shape with it, both of the antennas. So same deal with the second one here. We are going to go ahead and line up to the little notch, make our V shape like that. From there, we can go ahead and set up the power. So as far as the power goes, worth noting is that you have this little loop right here. There is a little graphic there to kind of tell you what you need to do with that. You need to make a little loop with your power supply connector, and then you're going to feed that loop through the loop on the back of the receiver itself. Once you have that in place, you can feed the connector through the cable loop, and then finally go ahead and plug it in. So what this does is it kind of keeps you from accidentally pulling out the power connector from the back of the kit. So definitely a useful thing to do. Certainly handy, because otherwise it'd be easy to get that pulled out by accident. All right, so otherwise I'm going to flip the receiver back around. For the other side of the power situation, I'm going to connect to the wall in this case. Depends on, you know, what your setup is looking like. For me, that's just kind of like the most practical thing to do at the moment. But you could connect to a power strip. You can connect to a power conditioner if you're doing like a live sound event. Totally up to you. But like I said, I'm going to keep it simple for today and just connect it to the wall. All right, there we go. Cool. So other than that, we can go ahead and connect the receiver, since we're on the subject of the receiver, to our mixer, preamp, whatever it is that you're using, in my case the recorder. So essentially on the back of the unit there is a XLR or a male connector, and I'm connecting the female end of my XLR cable to that. So other than that, I'm going to connect the male end of my XLR cable to my recorder input. And now I've made my input connection basically. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and use the handheld transmitter in this case. So as far as that goes, you can get the transmitter squared away with the battery. So get your batteries connected here, or inserted here rather. And just in case I did not get a good look at that on the screen, basically the handle of the transmitter itself screws off, and that reveals your battery compartment. So otherwise you have kind of like signage here that lets you know, hey, this is where you put your positive, this is where you put your negative on your AA batteries. So just set that up appropriately. Cool. So once that is up and running, you can go ahead and hold the power button until the green light turns on the transmitter end of things. As far as the receiver goes, you're going to turn it on. So right now my transmitter is already connected to my receiver. However, let's say that's not the case, that they're not on the same group and channel. You would need to address that. So basically, if you're setting up this kit initially, then turning on the transmitter is all good and well. Turning on the receiver is all good and well. However, you should scan for an available channel when you start like a new production, whatever that production may be. So the way you do that is go ahead and hit your group button. And now the antennas of the unit are scanning the immediate area, the coverage area of this kit, and looking for the most available group and channel, basically. All right, so the receiver thought, to be on J7 and thinking that that's a good way to go. But I am seeing a little bit of action on the RF meter, the radio frequency meter. So that to me indicates potential interference. Could be something, could be nothing, but I'd rather not chance it. There's some things you can try. We can try a different channel on the same group as an example. So pretty much for that, you can hold down the channel button till we start blinking. Flick over to the next channel with another push of the button. J8, getting a little bit of action there. We'll try to go one more. Hold. Press the button, and J9 we're getting even more action. So with all that said, it's not looking too good in this area right now, even though the receiver thought it might be. Another step that we can try is earlier it was programmed to J7 and I programmed my handheld transmitter to that. So I can turn my transmitter on and I can basically do a rescan. So having my transmitter on, ideally the receiver will see something while on group J channel 7. Ideally my receiver will see that something is like actively on J7 and it won't scan for that again. So let's go ahead and hit group again and do another scan. So now we're on O3 from the looks of it. We can try now to put our transmitter O3, because basically what I'm seeing now is it does in fact look cleaner, and I feel like more confident in what we got going on here. The RF meter is not jumping, radio frequency meter not jumping at all. I'm gonna unscrew the handle of my transmitter, and then we can program it to O3. All right, so when it comes to flipping over from J7 to 03, we have channel and group buttons when we open up the handheld transmitter. So right now I'm gonna hit my group button a couple times until the letter starts blinking, and then I'm just gonna click through until I hit O. Once O stops blinking, then I'm locked in, and it's gonna put me on the first channel of the O group initially. So now I need to get over to 03. So I got my channel button right below it. I'm gonna click it a few times, same deal, until it starts blinking, and click through until I hit 3. Bam, I hit 3, and you saw in the background there that green light meant that I made a connection. The receiver is now registering the power on my transmitter, the battery level. So now we're good to go, and pretty much all I would need to do is screw on the handle for my handheld transmitter once more. And then proceed with testing. So in terms of kind of like technique, let's say with the transmitter, I like pretty much kind of like 2 hands distance from my mouth, more or less, and then speak loud and proud into the transmitter itself. You know, you don't want it like all the way close to your mouth, but you don't want it like super far from your mouth either. So like I said, about 2 hands distance. Granted, I have like, I would say average size hands, so I suppose it depends on the size of your hands as well. But you can see what I have going on here. So even something like this, in my opinion, is decent. Have your technique on point. Speak loud and proud into the mic while you're testing it. So with that said, if I start speaking into the microphone, I should start getting some audio levels, and we should have a solid connection there. All right. You know, we're online, we're good to go with this. I feel more confident in this. Another thing we can try is let's say whatever, I tried another scan and I was still getting potential interference. Another tool that we can try is the Shure wireless frequency finder tool, which I'll show a little bit about, just to give you guys some tools to work with in the kit. What I'm gonna do now is power on my little recorder that I was talking about earlier. And I'm gonna set a level for this recorder, gain it up going into the recorder. So I want to get my level to about -12 or -9. Honestly, my voice, I'm fine with -9. So I'm going to turn my gain knob up until I start to get some action. Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Hi, hello, hi. Hi, hello, hi. So for me, somewhere around there is good. -12 is good if you have some source or like a voice that's really up and down in volume. Really dynamic to make sure you have plenty of headroom. But for me, I know, you know, -9 is fine for me. My voice doesn't go up and down in volume that much. So hi, hello, hi, check, check, 1, 2. So it's really peaking around like -9. If I'm recording into here, then I'd be good to record into here, and you know, it'd be as simple as that. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and hit record and run a test recording. All right, so now I'm recording. Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello, hello, hello. Just checking things out, making sure everything is everything, making sure that we don't run into any interference. And pretty much anybody who sets up the Shure BLX kit should be doing something, you know, on a similar note, in a similar fashion. Obviously connected to the right group, connected to the right channel, but then test it through your system. So in my case, through this recorder. If you're in the studio, test it through your headphones or through your headphones by way of your DAW, you know, whatever your setup entails. And if it's a live sound setup, then you can go ahead and test it through your speakers, let's say, through your live sound mixer. But make sure everything is everything. Make sure that you don't hear any interference. In my case, I'm going to record it, be able to play it back, and then from there, I'll hear the results and be able to verify that everything is everything. But visually, for now, everything is looking on point. Okay, so I did say I want to talk about Shure Wireless Frequency Finder as another option to hopefully avoid interference. This can be searched on Google. It's a publicly available tool. So let's go ahead and search that up. Boom, pull it up, hit the website. Great. All right, perfect. So from here, you can put in your zip code. And then you're going to select the series of the kit you're using. So in this case, we're talking about a BLX kit. It's the whole theme of this video, right? All right, great. So now when you search that, it's going to give you some suggestions for wireless channels. Worth noting is that your wireless kit is going to be on a certain band. It could be on J11, H10, H9. To find this, you can look at your receiver on the right side, and it'll have, you know, this type of name with a letter and a number. So in my case, I'm actually on H9. And I did see this, you know, I am aware of this. But in my case, there's actually no available channels for this band in the area that I'm currently residing in Chicago. It won't work in my case, but the good news is that, you know, I already did my rescan earlier and I did find a clean frequency. So just because it says there's no available channels for this band in Chicago in my area doesn't necessarily mean that's entirely true. I found a clean frequency and I tested and recorded with it and everything was sounding fine. So in theory, I could potentially, you know, do a whole podcast or, you know, do a whole live show or whatever type of production I'm doing and still have that remain intact and still be clean. But in any event, if I had a J11 kit, then that would be the best case scenario in my particular area. So on the J11 band. So if you're in a case where you do find available channels using this tool, then now you have suggestions that you can try out and see if it works out. So to this point, like in Chicago, for example, I have used like other wireless kits and used the wireless frequency finder and had that be the ticket, the thing that got me the cleanest frequency. Even over, you know, trying a different group, trying a different channel manually, and even over rescanning, like what helped me find success today. So it all depends. But in any case, if you're on a band that works in your area, then it's going to give you a good amount of suggestions, or at least a handful of suggestions. So in this case, if I was on band J11, then I could go to group R on my wireless kit and then pick any of these channels 1 through 8 and see if that's a nice and clean frequency to work with. You can show the frequencies over here too to see like a little bit more info about the specific frequency that would pertain to. But realistically, because the way the BLX kit works, just picking a group and picking a channel should work out fine. You can show frequencies if you're curious, but that's about it. Cool. So the reason my kit doesn't work so well, just, you know, worth it to say, I suppose, is that I originally bought my kit in Florida. So if I put in my zip code in Florida, then H9 is actually the best band in that area. So it was a location change that kind of like changed things up for me. But in any event, hopefully that's informative as far as the wireless frequency finder goes. And like I said, it could be helpful in your case potentially. It's just another tool in the kit. So you can manually try different groups or channels to try to find a cleaner frequency. You can try the rescan method that I tried earlier that worked for me in this case, or you can try the wireless frequency finder. So all in all, I hope this was helpful. Appreciate you for tuning in and hope to catch you on the next one.